about a month since I've seen you guys, probably a little bit over. I deeply apologize for that. As I said in my last video, lots going on. I tried to record last week, and then it just didn't happen for me. I record half of a video, and then I just wiped the footage because it was not enough. And so I would rather just go ahead and get into this video, which is the ending of the month, which this is the June plus July wrap up, since I did kind of spill what I was reading in the last video, in the art video. That being said, we're combining June and July into one video. That way we have more to talk about, since I had already kind of addressed what I had read in June up until a certain point. But I have read more, so that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into every single book I've read since June and what I've read in July. We're going to have a fresh start. We're going to get back on schedule, because Lord knows I suck at being on schedule, and y'all are probably tired of me from doing that, but I'm sorry. I am horrible, I know. Anyways, let's get on into it. Alright, starting with June, we have No Place to Hide, which is by Harper Ashley and Ren Hawthorne. Here's the picture of the cover right here. It was a short novella, about 100 pages. I give it 2 stars. It takes place in a carnival. I know we have the main girl who is a good girl. She goes to the carnival and meets this guy. And then she's like, well, maybe I want to do some bad things for once in my life before I go to college. Because I'm pretty sure this takes place when they're like graduating high school. That or they're in college. I know it's somewhere in between. I don't remember when. But it is a dark smut. Okay? So, going into it with that. Look up trigger warnings if you guys want to read it. Of course, it is a short novella, so I don't remember much about it. Same with these other ones, too. I remember some of them, but not all of them. I swear to God. I've been reading novellas like crazy. Just try to get myself back into the habit of reading more. Because that seems to help me, because I feel like if I'm reading shorter books, I feel like I'm reading more. And so a lot of these are novellas. So some of them are full length, or at least 200 to 300 pages. But other than that, most of these are novellas. Next on, we have Brianna Michael Stay, next on 4. Don't remember anything from it. It's 200 pages. I rated it a 3, which is kind of the midway point. I don't dislike it, but I also don't like it enough to remember it. It's kind of in the midpoint. I don't remember anything that happened in this book. I remember the first book very vividly in the Next Level series, but after that, everything's a blur. I don't remember anything. Next, I read Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this one already. I want y'all to know. 5 stars. Hallelujah. Excited to read more from Kennedy Ryan. This book hurt my heart. I cried many, many times, but that is solely because I relate to it. And I don't know. It just kind of triggered me a lot when it comes to terms with the subject material, because it is a story revolving around domestic abuse and a mother and a daughter going through that. Solely for that reason, as I stated before, I was kind of the baby in that situation with my own family. So I did relate to the book in a way that is horrible, but I did thoroughly enjoy it. I love Kennedy Ryan's writing. She did a very good job at not romanticizing the abuse that happened in whatever his face's relationship with, I don't remember her name. But that being said, she did a good job from transitioning into a part where the main girl character was healing after the relationship with her baby daddy, who was abusing her and keeping her locked up tight in a marriage that, you know, obviously happened. He trapped her into a marriage, he trapped her into pregnancy. It was this whole ordeal, and we have to watch her kind of process the whole situation as well as dealing with this, but also realizing she loves this other man named August, who was on the same basketball team as baby daddy. Fuck baby daddy. He's an asshole. I fully support August helping the main girl character come into her own, help her realize that everything was not her fault. It felt like a much needed, she needed him to show her that none of what happened to her was her fault, and that was the kind of starting point of where she needed to heal and how she needed to heal. He did not. Now, I don't, again, as I said, it wasn't romanticized. It was not like it rushed into it. It was a slow burn. And by that, it means like he didn't rush into anything with her. Obviously, he was attracted. And he, like, before he even knew about the situation, he did try to convince her to be like, yo, we obviously feel things for each other. We should at least try it to see how it goes. But obviously, at that point in time, she was being contradicted by this man, her baby daddy, who's an asshole. And I could go on and on more and more about the story, but I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to say I rated it 5 stars, related heavily to it. Really appreciated the plot, the writing. It didn't take advantage of the situation. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay, they're still out on the deck.
Alright. Ruby Dixon's Barbarian's Choice, which is Ice Planet Barbarians Book 11. 228 pages, 3.75 stars.
Yeah, I got you right there. Okay.
I want to say that is the one with Farley, and I've already expressed my thoughts on this one. I felt like a parent reading about her child do things, and it made me uncomfortable the entire time because I've known Farley since she was like a child. Since the beginning of the Ice Planet Barbarians era, we've seen her grow up, so it was a little weird kind of navigating her relationship with this guy who's from like another planet. I'm gonna leave it at that. Love Farley. Loved the dude. They were great. But it was just weird. Yeah. Moving on. Loving Grant by Lisa Freed. 71 pages. I gave it 2 stars. Don't remember a single thing about it. Oran High School Host Club Volume 11. Biska Hattori. 210 pages. 4 stars. This is the book where Hikaru and Karu realized their feelings towards a certain someone. And all the anticipation is killing me. I'm gonna have to start volume 12 soon. I'm gonna finish the book I'm reading now and then start that one. Unless I get like midway through the book I'm reading now, because I'm trying to read longer books now that I'm at the point where I've been reading novellas. So we're gonna go ahead and, you know. The book I'm reading now is an angsty one, so that might be a little smart idea to read an Oran High School Host Club novella in between, like halfway point, so yeah. Lisa Freed, Loving Matt, it's part of the same series as Loving Grant. It's the second book, 77 pages, rated at 2 stars. I want to say this one is between a hairstylist and this rich daughter to this rich family that they expect everything of her. That also might be, no, I'm pretty sure that's the next book, which is Loving Evan. I have no clue what Loving Matt was about. Sorry for the confusion. I think that one is Loving Evan, which I also read, 85 pages, 3 stars. J.T. Geisinger, Burn for You, which is part of the Slow Burn series. It takes place in Louisiana. It's about this girl who owns a restaurant, and then this guy comes in who is the son of a very wealthy family. He and his family sell wine. I think it was wine or liquor. I know that. And then they end up becoming like a competition to each other. and it just becomes this whole sort of thing. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm going to just tell you I gave that one 3.75 stars. 348 pages I read in 2 sittings, which I listened to it in audiobook while I was at work. Now, I've been resorting to audiobooks a lot lately, simply because I work a lot. I don't really necessarily have the time to sit down and be physically reading a book. But honestly, like, it does help because I'm still processing the information while I'm doing things. And it still makes me feel like I'm getting something done, you know? Like, I'm acknowledging, I'm enjoying the plot, I'm enjoying the characters. Do I remember as much from audiobooks as I do with the physical copies? Not really, because I feel like I'm just remembering key plot points when I'm listening to an audiobook, simply because while I'm at work I'm doing other things, my whole focus isn't on the audiobook. But I still feel like it does help. But I can tell you that I did think that 3.75 stars was an accurate feeling to what I felt at the time of reading this. Not gonna lie to you. Alright, just a little edit as I'm rewatching this and editing. For the Slow Burn series by J.T. Geisinger, I did switch up in this video the second and third book. It is the second book that I enjoyed the most, and the book I'm about to start talking about. So I explained book 2's plot as book 3, and then book 3 I explained as book 2. So that being said, just go into it with that mindset that I'm actually talking about the book 2 when I'm talking about book 3. I'll put it down, I'll write it down in the video, but just so you're aware, I did mix it up. So I did enjoy book 2 the most. Remember little from book 3. Thank you guys. Now back onto the video. Next book is Melt for You, which is by the same author, same series. 347 pages, 4 stars. Don't remember a single thing about it. So I should probably take that rating down to a 3, which I'm going to do right now. Ache for You by also same author, same series. 362 pages. It is a story between a it's either Irish or Scottish man, soccer player. He does something. Is it rugby? I don't know. I know he did something and it was famous. And then he moves into the apartment next door and he's really, 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 really loud. And so the girl character keeps going over to his apartment like, hey, can you tone it down? Can you tone it down? He doesn't. So eventually they strike up a deal, right? Well, will you make me food? And then I will quiet down. Because he enjoys her cooking. And then eventually it just becomes this thing that every single time they come over, they're best friends, da-da-da-da-da. And then eventually they let that friendship open up a little bit. Something was opening up. By that I mean 2 legs. Okay. I loved it. I'm not gonna lie, I loved it better than any of the other books in the series. I don't even know why I rated it like 3 stars, because I actually really loved it. It was very, very cute, very, very, I was fantasizing about the male Lee the entire time in the audiobook with his voice. Oh my god. That was fantastic, not gonna lie. Obviously it was read in the girl's voice, but still, like, it was fantastic. Fantastical. Okay, next book, Lisa Freed, Loving Evan. 85 pages, we're starting it into July. 3 stars. That is the one with the hairstylist that falls in love with this girl of a wealthy family. Moving on, I went back to my homegirl, Taylor Jenkins Reid. We read Malibu Rising. 369 pages, read in 3 sittings. Also audiobook. I did feel like I retained more of this information than I did the other ones because it was Taylor Jenkins Reid, and she is one of my favorite authors. Therefore, that being said, I was locked in. I rated it 4 stars. It wasn't my favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid book. I still have to say Daisy Jones and the Six is my favorite. That being said, it wasn't bad. I only knew one of the characters prior because obviously all of her books are in the same universe about. And we know Mick Riva, and he was with Evelyn Hugo from The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. We know about his infidelity, da-da-da-da-da. We know he's a producer. But we also, when we start this book, we learn a lot more about Mick Riva in that he is a cheater, a liar, all of these things. He was charming in the beginning, but then he kind of drifted off into the sea of women. And, okay, whatever. I didn't know that's where it was going to go. He had charmed me at first, and then I saw he was a fucking asshole. Which I guess I should have known that, considering it was Evelyn Hugo, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. We know how he acted. However, I'm a red flag girly. Anyway, next book, Elle Kennedy's The Dixon Rule. I finished this yesterday. I had 60 pages done. And then yesterday, I don't know what came out of me. A fucking beast was like, don't put it down, don't put it down, don't put it down. So I read it all, and I read the rest of it in one sitting. It was a 489 page book. I had 60 pages of that. I had read 452 pages about. That's what my story graph says. Maybe it was a little bit lower than 60 pages I started at. But it was around that point that I was just like, nope, today. We're doing it today. Today. And I finished it. And I have to say, I love Shane Lindley. I love Diana Dixon's banter with each other. The kitchen scene with Will. Absolutely deceased. I love hockey players. Especially Elle Kennedy's hockey players. I feel like she writes them all really well. Especially Dean Sebastian Kendrick and Whitney Laurentiis. We love his story arc. Also, have y'all seen the Poland covers that just recently came out? I don't read Polish, but I really, really want those book covers. Anyway, The Dixon Rule. Diana Dixon is a dancer. She does all sorts of things. Cheerleading, da-da-da-da. Shane Lindley, hockey player. Very, very hot, funny hockey player. They have a feud going on. She turns their whole apartment building against him. And it was the funniest thing ever. And then, basically, he volunteers to do this dance competition with her. And then both of their exes come back in the picture. And it's kind of just a back and forth type thing. Fucked up. And then, I'm not going to spoil the rest for you. Go read it. If you haven't read the Off-Campus /BuyRU series, go ahead and read it now. Because I thoroughly enjoyed reading that series. Because it was at the start of my reading career. I don't get paid for this. Reading journey. And that being said, it was very nostalgic for me to go ahead and keep reading the series because I feel like it just kind of brings you back to the origin. You get the cameos. We saw Dean. We saw Garrett. We saw Jake Connolly. I say Connolly. Other people say Connelly. I don't know. But I know that I love the characters. I'm miss seeing my Dean. I miss seeing my Garrett. Love every single one of these characters. I feel like also Elle Kennedy fleshes out background stories pretty darn well when it comes to characters. What I feel like with this book she didn't do well was she kind of just introduced Shane Lindley's ex at the beginning. It was expressed that he was a relationship man. But of course he fucked a lot of women to be able to figure that out for himself. after his girl broke up with him. And then he starts fake dating Diana, and then he realized this is the girl I want to be with. And then it goes from there. Not gonna spoil the rest for you. Really, really funny. I posted a quote from it on my Instagram if you want to go check out that quote, if you feel like you need to see something to convince you to read it. Let's just say Shane Lindley is a dominant motherfucker, and I love that for him. Anyway, moving on. Kayla Gross's Puckshy, which is the second book to Trick Shot, which is a polyamorous relationship. That book, really, really loved that book. Didn't love Puckshy. Gave it 2 stars. I enjoyed the first book much more than I enjoyed the second book. However, 206 pages, got through it, put it out. Now this is one I don't get the hype with. It was very, very hyped up back when I started my book journey. About a few years ago. I say started with quotations because I really started it longer before that. I just didn't get deeper into it until a few years ago. This is one of the books that came up every single time for, oh, you should read this if you like smutty, you know, blah, 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 dark romances. It is Harley LaRue's The Dare, which is 0.5 in the Loser series. 109 pages, I get 2 stars. I don't get the fascination. The writing is mediocre, which I guess can't really be degraded much. Same thing with the plot being an issue. With 109 pages, I can't really complain much because it is a novella. However, just wasn't my thing. I felt like I needed more to be able to. I felt like I needed more, but at the same time, I felt like it was good where it ended at. You know, I feel like it's good there. I don't need to read anymore. I probably won't continue this series. If I do, I'll read the first book, see how I feel about it, and then go back. But right now, it's not a possibility. Next one's a little bit of a weird one, because I was just trying to find novellas. I didn't look into anything about this book before I started it. It was Patrick C. Harrison III's 100% Match, Unknown Souls. 96 pages, and I give it 1 star. This whole story is basically about this guy who's trying to find true love for himself, but this guy is deeply disturbed, and a lot of the reviews of the book talk about how disturbing this is. Almost every chapter a person dies that he kills some sort of way. It gets worse and worse as the book goes on, what he does. I would definitely suggest trigger warnings if you do read it. It is horror-ish, gory-ish, but it's not my kind of gory. I did not understand how people found this disturbing, but I know I'm desensitized to a lot. So I also think that's part of my issue. Because everybody was saying, yo, this is like dark, 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 this is gory, this is disgusting, da-da-da-da-da. But really, I didn't see what was... Like, in context, if I spoke it aloud to myself, I would be like, yeah, that's weird, like, that's wrong. But I'm desensitized to a lot of things, so I'm just like, okay, that's it. Which is a red flag of mine in itself. I'm desensitized to a lot, so I don't react. But everybody else reacts, and then I don't get... Like, I get it, but I also don't get why it's that disturbing, if you get what I'm saying. Like, I get why it's bad and wrong of him to do, but to me, when I think, oh, this is really, really, really gory, and you're telling me all this overhyped shit, and I read it, and then it's just not living up to my expectations, I'm just like, okay, whatever. I rewatched The Tearsmith by Aaron Doom, and then I started the book. I'm about 70 pages in, which is my current read right now. It has a 576 pages. I'm going to keep reading it in a moment after this video.
With the deceit of Jasmine's boyfriend now exposed,
And then we'll see how far we get from there. But
Jasmine puts her
I've heard that the book is better, more angsty. Definitely search up trigger warnings. Definitely search up the content of the story if you want to read it. Because some people don't mind the subject matter when it comes to adopted siblings falling in love. Other people care because they're like, well, it's weird if they grew up together, which I do get. However, in the movie, the girl was 8. She didn't know the kid. They weren't raised together until she went to the orphanage. Now, the orphanage is where this all stems. She meets Rigel. I watched this movie yesterday. How do I not remember the girl's name? Nika. Nika was the girl's name. Nika meets Rigel at the orphanage after her parents died. Now, this starts some feud between them. And Nika thinks Rigel hates her, da-da-da-da-da. It becomes a whole thing. They continue their lives. Eventually, they get adopted together when they're like 17, 18 years old. I would say 17 because obviously if you're 18, that's weird, but I know it's not English. This is not an English movie. What is it from? Is it Swedish? It's something. It's somewhere along those lines. But I don't know what age, like, you get emancipated at from an adoption home or foster home or an orphanage. So obviously some things have changed. For me, in America, it's 18 years old, and then you're sent off into the world. You don't get any help, no nothing. But for my understanding, I think they're like 17, 18 around there. And then slowly Nika realizes, I actually like this dude. He's a bit of an asshole, but, we can work this out. They both have trauma from their time in the orphanage, da-da-da-da-da. I'm going to let you decide whether you want to read or watch the movie from that information right there. Obviously, it's not everybody's cup of tea. I don't see the issue if they weren't related. But that's just my controversial opinion, I guess. I don't care if they're not related. Like, if they're not related, cool. If they are related, stay the fuck away from each other, please. But if they're not related, okay, go ahead. I don't care. I will read it. I will admit, if they were raised together, like from baby to fucking adult, I would be a little bit concerned because that kid. It's like a person. But I don't know, though, because I feel like if me and Elena, my best friend, had kids, and then our kids grew up to, like, love each other romantically, I'd be like, fuck yeah, love y'all for that. So I don't know. Because I would love to be connected to her in some way, other than her being the child's godmom. But, because she is my best friend, I would love to have her tied to me in some sort of way. She can never leave me. I don't know. Maybe that's a controversial opinion, though. I mean, I know it is, because not a lot of people are like, that's fucking weird. Okay, whatever. Not your thing. I get it. To me, it's if they're not related. They weren't raised like babies together. They were about 8 years old in the movie, as far as I know, when they met. In the book, I don't remember what age it was. I'll have to look that up later. But in the movie, she was 8 years old. So at 8 years old, obviously you're not aware, but you're older. So you are aware a lot more of things as you were like a child. So I don't know. Yeah, moving on. That's all I have to say about that. I read the Snowflake, this is novellas, smut novellas. Snowflake Falls Fire Department, Jessa J. I read 3 books in that series, which is His Flame, His Heat, His Fire. 39 pages for the first book, 42 for the second, and 40 for the third. Not my favorite. I read those for book countings. To be counted as books. And also because I woke up at 1 a.m. this morning, and I haven't been back to sleep since. So from 1 a.m. on, I was just reading. And then I got some of my driver's course done. I don't know. I did a lot of work this morning. I was very impressed with myself. Yeah. So that's basically it. I talked about Wuthering Heights in the last video, I think. So y'all know I did finish that. But yeah. That's basically it. Thank y'all for watching. If you have any book recs for me, let me know. I'm gonna try to get more reading done for you guys next month in August. August, very important month. It's my birthday on the 14th, so hopefully something happens for that. Yeah. Okay. Thank y'all for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. I don't know what the next video will be, but we'll get there. Alright guys. Bye-bye.